Okay, I'm headed to, believe it or not, the house I lived in from the time I was born until I was 5 years old or so. I'm going to go there to interview Ellis Ulrich, who bought the house from my dad back in 1977 or 78. Oh, and by the way, up here on the left is where my sisters used to get ballet lessons when they were like 5 years old. Yeah, so he bought the house in 1977, 1978. It was a one-car house. He's a car guy, and he has judged for the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance for over 30 years. So I'm going to interview him about that. There's a lot of cool automobilia, old license tags on the walls of his garage. I believe he still has his dad's, like Model A or Model T that his dad bought new. So the Mandarin Community Club, that's where my sister used to take ballet lessons back in the early 70s. So it should be fun. Now, you'll see some pictures here of when my parents first moved in, and they had a 1969 Mach 1. They bought it new. Here's a picture of it new with the dealer tag you can still see in the window. And my older sister's in the stroller there. This is before I existed. And so when my parents had 3 kids, because it was myself and my twin sister about a year after this picture. All right, here we go. They had to sell the Mustang, and I think he traded it in on a Volvo, believe it or not. He said at the time he didn't want the Shelby Mustang. He liked it, but it was $2,000 more. And this street, when they first built this house, they were the second house on this street, and obviously it's grown up a lot since then. So I roll my window down here. So we go all the way to the very end, 2 houses from the very end. Ellis also had some cars that were in some movies. I know it was in Michael J. Fox's Doc Hollywood in the early 90s. All right, there it is. He's got the doors open here. So this is the house I lived in from the time I was born until, oh, watch out, kitty cat, until I was 5. All right. Ugh. All right, well, welcome to the Collector Car Podcast. I'm thrilled to have a live and in-person guest, Ellis Ulrich. Ellis, how you doing today?
Great.
So the reason that we're here and we're talking is because you bought this house from my parents back, what, in 1977, 78?
You know, I don't remember. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah, but I do remember you added this 4-car garage.
Did indeed.
Yep.
And a little bit more on the back of the house.
Yeah.
But, and this is still the old garage here.
This is the original garage, right?
Other stuff in.
All I remember from living here, because I was only here till I was about 5, is I remember riding my first tricycle around in a circle as fast as I could, about right here.
Yeah, that's
about this spot.
Concrete slab.
Concrete slab.
Yep.
And I remember driving by here, probably when I was in high school, and you had some cool cars in here. And I remember you had a white ambulance, right? At some point.
I did.
Yep.
A Buick.
And that was in, what movie was that in?
In Brenda Starr.
In Brenda's, with Brooke Shields.
Brooke Shields and Timothy Dalton.
Okay.
Filmed it here in '86, I think it was.
Okay.
And you can still find it online.
Is it still local?
Yeah.
Is it in decent shape locally?
No.
Oh, okay.
It has gone down. But yeah, we used several cars in that movie. We had the ambulance, and I had a '47 Buick that was parked in the beginning of the movie to hide an airbag when they fell off a balcony.
Okay.
And and I had another Model A Ford Roadster.
Okay.
That she and Timothy Dalton found in the South American woods. And he put a little potion in the gas tank, and suddenly the battery came to life. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was convenient.
Yeah, and the car ran. So
now, wasn't the ambulance also in Doc Hollywood?
no, it was not.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that ambulance, I believe that was the only movie it was in.
Okay, then I had my facts wrong because I thought for some reason it was in that.
Yeah.
Because that was filmed in Micanopy,
Yeah,
not far from here.
it
so.
was. And of course, they probably used local cars there, and who knows, it may have been in there.
Yeah. Well, one reason I wanted to do this little interview is because this is the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance weekend.
It is.
And you have judged there for how many years?
26 years.
26 years?
It's been marvelous.
Yeah.
Enjoyed every minute of it.
Right. And I didn't know that you were a judge. Every time I'd come here to visit, which wasn't that often, I never put two and two together till recently.
Yeah.
So, but now everything's changed a lot, so you're not judging this year, correct?
No, everything is new ownership, and we're hoping for the best on that.
Yep.
Keel Haggerty owns that.
Yep.
And he's done a good job on other ones, so let's hope so on this. But he does have a different judging staff this year, which is fine. I'm getting old and tired.
So, what was it like the first year you judged? Was that one of the first years of the Concours, or was that a couple years into the Concours?
No, that was the first year of the Concours.
Wow, okay.
And my wife worked with Bill Warner at that time, and spent a lot of time with him. And I never saw her at all, but it turned out very well, and it just really rolled from there. It got bigger.
Yeah.
And different cars. And the nice thing about the Concours for me was if you saw a car there this year, it couldn't return for 5 years.
Right.
So it's different every year.
Yep.
Love it.
By the time it comes back in 5 years, you probably forgot about it.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a marvelous place to go.
Now, over those 26 years, were there any particular years or particular cars or particular classes that you just loved, like you wish you could revisit?
You know, every year you think, boy, this was the best year ever.
Yeah.
And every year is the best year ever, it seems.
Just keeps getting.
Yeah, and to isolate something, I'm not sure I could.
Yeah.
It's just every year it's a totally different theme, different types of cars, and different people, different judges that come and go, and it's been marvelous to meet some of those guys that you've idolized.
Sure.
Really.
Yeah. Especially the racers,
Yeah,
get those guys in.
right.
Well, I do want to talk about the three cars behind us because I think Jay Leno's joining us. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
Yeah, he doesn't move around much, but he's there looking.
It's not as tall as I thought he was.
Yeah, well.
So tell us about the car here on the right.
It's 29 Model A Roadster. My dad bought it in 29 at a farm auction.
Okay.
It had 600 miles on it.
Wow. Slightly used.
The
Yeah.
farmer died, and my dad was the high bidder at $60, and he financed it at the local bank for 2 years.
2 years to pay off. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, but this was a crash of 29. There wasn't any money.
Yep.
People were scared, but he needed a car.
Yep.
And he beat that poor car to pieces. He was a rural mail carrier in Missouri.
Yep. Okay.
Something would break, he'd weld it up. Something would get dented, he'd kind of knock it out with a hammer, and that's it. But I took my driver's test in that car.
Did you really?
I did indeed, 1955.
Let's stand up and let's walk closer to it so I get a better shot of it. So this is the car you learned how to drive on.
It is.
Wow.
And my wife and I started, oh goodness, I don't even remember the year for sure. Finally decided to start working on it, take it apart, and every nut and bolt was replaced and put together just like Henry Ford did.
Right.
It took us 19 years to do it. In the meantime, we restored a house and another car, and but then we drove this thing for years with just a frame and a gas tank and an engine.
I like your airbag over here.
Well, yeah, you got to stay up to date. Of course, that's Publix airbag. So
That's the Publix.
It's not imported.
It's not imported.
No, it's the real thing.
That's Florida's own.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and the other reason I wanted to stop by here is because I love your sense of humor. You got some really cool, interesting, neat things on the walls and kind of all over the place. I mean, I actually have these. I found two of these Mustangs. I don't know if they're the same. They were, when I bought them, they're for kids meals. Is that right?
Yeah. Thing is, see those down below inside the cage.
Oh yeah, the big ones.
Public served sandwiches in those.
Yeah.
And then another restaurant took over, Steak and Shake, I think it is.
Yeah, he just
and did these on top. So
if you've watched my any of my live streaming events, people will see I have two of these floating in the background.
cool.
On my wall. Two Mustangs, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
I mean, that's the law, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got to have one.
Well, what's the story behind this car here?
It's a 50 Mercury. I bought it disassembled
Oh, wow.
and put it back together, I think about 13 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it drives well. 3-speed overdrive, flathead engine.
Is the Queen of England a fan?
Well, yeah, she likes riding in there. And inside, my uncle rides inside the back seat all the time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's my Uncle Spike. He's an old motorcycle guy.
I'm a close personal friend of Bob's. Oh, he's
You
still...
remember that
I
or
don't.
not?
No, I don't.
Several years ago, a guy tried to get into the Concours to the office.
Oh, really?
And he says, I want to see Bob Warner. I'm a close personal friend.
This is the
So
close...
Bill had that made up.
What are the aftermarket... The clock... Is that factory clock in the center? The console?
No, I've added that, and that's a tunnel I've added for the air conditioning.
Ah, okay. Gotta have AC
You do.
down here in Jacksonville, right?
You do indeed.
Got all sorts of cool stuff. Also, man, look at all the automobile manuals and everything you have.
Got a lot.
Wow.
They could be yours. I'm trying to thin down a little bit.
Always need reference stuff, right?
Yeah. Flathead, like I said, 3-speed overdrive. Air conditioning, of course. My wife wouldn't have it any other way.
Do you have power steering?
I do not. I wish I
don't
did.
see it. Yeah. Looks like a fun driver, though.
It is, and it's a little more hard to steer than it used to be. I put Diamondback radials on it, and it puts a little more rubber on the road, so it makes it a little stiffer steering.
How about the lake pipes, right? How does this sound? So
Never opened them.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're there.
They're there. All right, now what about this one?
Had it a month and a half.
Really?
Yeah. They all have a story. And this one is too. This one, I had a friend, about a mile and a half down the road named John. And he was a Model A guy, and he died.
Okay.
But he bought this car in 2001 for his daughter's wedding.
Oh, okay.
He couldn't keep it running well enough, and he had to borrow a car for the wedding. And he got so disgusted, he put this on the roller skates and rolled it around in his big garage. And when I saw it, I could see it, but I couldn't touch it
Okay.
because there's too much stuff around it.
Oh, right.
And the engine was frozen, but we got it loose. We have good Model A club. Got it loose, and it runs. It's a decent car.
Okay.
And
So you got it up and running and...
we'll be driving it because
Yeah?
after all the years with the Roadster,
Yep.
I have a 60-year-old son in Texas that's ready for it.
Wow, okay.
He has a raggedy car that he drives his grandchildren around in the country, but this one can go on tours and stuff, and he's ready. And as much as I hate it, I guess I'm ready.
Well, it's staying in the family, right?
Oh yeah, and I have to have something. That's why we bought this.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it has to be repacked, and I don't remember how, My drag chute will have to be tied on
Oh,
the back of
well, yeah, you got to put the drag
for,
chute.
for brakes.
It would never get any sort of inflation, would it?
This one isn't going to be as fast as that one. The Roadster is quick. It has a lot of niceties, and we run 60 and 65 on the highway easy.
Wow. Okay.
30-mile-an-hour brakes, so
Right.
you have to
Plan ahead.
Yeah, just in case you have to stop, go ahead and start anyway. But, well,
I love your old timey hats here. So those go as part of the
well,
the tour, right?
They have, some of those have gone on my Uncle Spike in the back seat of the car.
My head would not fit in any of these. Maybe one. Definitely not many
Is
of
that
them.
because of the extra brain?
The extra. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's
Yeah.
go with the extra brain. And that's cool. You got the.
Oh yeah,
That one. That was
Bill-
locally here for a while, wasn't
well,
it?
Bill owned it, Bill Warner.
Yeah, that's
And Bob Gregory, that's a story in itself. He lived in St. Augustine. We kind of took care of them for the grocery store and doctor and stuff. And then when he died, his wife moved in with us.
Oh, okay.
And she died 2 years later.
Wow.
There's a photograph of Brooke Shields.
Oh,
sitting
Brooke
in our-
Shields.
In our old Roadster. And Tony Peck is on the left.
With the.
Gregory Peck's kid.
There's picture judging. Awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool stuff. Why do you have? Is that for Firestone? Firestone Wilderness.
You remember that?
Yeah,
When-
that was almost broke up Firestone and Ford Explorers.
It did. So I figured I'd put it upside down. It seemed appropriate.
Yeah. Now, where's the? Don't you have one of the soy license tags?
I did for years and sold them just recently because I had a guy that had to have them.
Yep.
Yep, made of soybean. Animals ate them.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that and how rare those were. And you got your Hess trucks over here, and
Yes.
cool, yeah, got some cool beer cans.
And some more Concours on the wall.
Yeah. Oh, there's Bill Warner over there. Up
Yeah.
top there. Well, thanks, man.
Anytime.
I appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. Always fun to talk about cars.
Yeah. Ah, good. You got Florida State. They're
Oh,
not,
yeah.
they're not very good right now, but thanks for having them up there.